Joining us at the table today is Ann Cicalese, meteorologist at WCVB Channel 5. Ann is News Centre's 5 weekend eye-opener meteorologist, joining WCVB Storm Team 5 in October 2016. Before coming to Boston, Ann worked at WSAZ-TV, the lead television station for the Huntington-Charleston market in West Virginia, where she served as the weekday evening meteorologist. Originally from New Jersey, Ann is a graduate of Rutgers University, earning a Bachelor's of Science in Meteorology. While at Rutgers, she was involved in the university's television program and was a member of the Rutgers Meteorology Club. She also holds an associate degree in mathematics. Ann loves to know her viewers on a personal level, speaking at various social clubs and continuing kid-friendly weather experiments in local classrooms. Is also passionate about our Irish heritage and also has a passion for Irish dancing, which she started training for at a young age. When not covering the weather at WCVB, Ann enjoys spending time with her husband and 2 boys. Ann, welcome. We're delighted to have you.
Thank you for having me. You're so lovely, Martina. Yeah. It's always nice to speak
thank you.
To you.
And you've been such a great friend to us at Manoverk, and we really, really appreciate that.
Truly my pleasure.
So in my intro, I mentioned about your Irish dancing, and I have to say, when we saw those steps earlier this year, I think it really resonated with the Irish diaspora. So if you could talk us through a little bit maybe about your Irish heritage, and I know you're very close to your grandmother, and how that has shaped you both personally and professionally.
It's a huge part of my life. So I was discussing this with my mother because I couldn't actually remember the exact age I was. It was 4 when I started Irish step dancing, and my mother was looking for a way to get my sister and I really connected to our Irish heritage, and she thought, this is a great way to do that. My grandmother is from Ireland. My grandfather, his parents are from Ireland. He was born in New York, but we have such a strong connection to our family in Ireland and our heritage there. So that started at a very young age. Irish step dancing, it really shaped my life. It is like many sports that children get involved in. It's very consuming. It takes over your schedule. You are practicing 4 days a week. You have competitions. And so at a young age, you develop this drive. You develop time management skills. And these are skills that can easily and have easily been applied to my career and my life as an adult now. So, being Irish, we are resilient. That is a strong part of our culture, right? And so I think back to the 19th century, the Irish came to America and Irish need not apply, right?
Right.
So there was a lot of struggle there. And I do think it's something deep in our blood that we're just resilient, and so we can overcome obstacles. And that is something that I feel my Irish heritage gave me, and I'm able to apply to real life.
Right. And I think too, going back to the dancing, you talk about, it's such a team event, and also too, it really teaches you, discipline, and it's so competitive.
There's a lot of discipline. There's a lot of competitiveness.
Yes.
But at the same time, you mentioned team.
Yes.
And there is that team aspect to it,
Right.
which I also think is so important, especially in our current society, that sense of community, working together for a common goal. And that is something that I think Irish dancing did for me as well. But of course, I got a competitive drive from that as well.
Yes.
And even a sense of a little more comfort with being public and performing. That's something that I think Irish dancing helped me with as well.
And probably helps you now in your current field.
I'd like to think so.
Yes.
But, as I get older, I will say each time I put on those shoes, it gets harder and harder to do the kicks. But yes, definitely. I feel it was a huge part of my life, and in some way it still is. Yes.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And then when did you have an interest in meteorology, or how did that all come about?
I think for some people it's, one simple story and then they knew right from there. But for me, it wasn't that simple. I think I always sort of had an interest in weather, which I think many people do.
Right.
How can you not? It's such a big impact on your life in many circumstances. But for me, it's something so silly, so childish. We would do a fun pool party every summer. My sister and I both are, she's end of June, I'm end of July with our birthdays. And so my mother would do a joint birthday party. It was a big bash in the backyard with the pool. So many times this party would be interrupted by thunderstorms. And so I do think that kind of sparked my interest in trying to understand, why did these storms develop and how do I, try to avoid these thunderstorms as well and try to schedule around them. So there was this sense of, watching the meteorologist on TV, and that kind of sparked my interest in it. And over time, the interest grew. I initially didn't know that there was a degree in meteorology.
Okay.
I saw the people on TV. I knew that they were called meteorologists, but as a young child, I didn't realize it was something I could actually study in college. And so initially, I went off to school. I studied math because, hey, I was always good at it. Seems like a simple solution, right? You go for what you're good at.
Right.
But then I discovered that meteorology is just math and physics. And I always kind of had that interest in weather. So that was a real easy decision for me to transfer over into getting that degree in meteorology.
Right. And so you had that curiosity from a very young age about
Yes,
weather.
there was always that curiosity. I don't think at a young age I knew I wanted to be a meteorologist, but I certainly had an interest. And I knew I wanted to do something science or math related. It was just a matter of figuring that out. And actually it was a college counselor that helped me figure that out. So shout out to them as well
Good
at Rutgers University.
Yes.
So
Good for them. Good for them. So you have the degree in meteorology. Then how did the segue happen into TV?
I did an internship.
Okay.
So in the back of my mind, I think I knew I wanted to get into broadcast meteorology because I felt very inspired by the TV meteorologists that I watched growing up. And I did love performing, and I loved that aspect of it, the excitement of that. But I wasn't sure if I was cut out for it.
Mm-hmm.
I did an internship, and I think that's what really locked it in for me. I realized this is what I want to do. As crazy as it is, because the hours are nuts and you're working on days, but there's just something about that excitement factor that really drew me in.
Yeah, and it definitely is. It's an unpredictable.
Yes.
It's an unpredictable schedule.
It is. It can be. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And then so you started off in Charleston.
I started off in Wyoming.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay.
Yes,
So
I'm not even sure if it's on.
No, I
it's
don't.
so far back.
Yeah, so tell us about that.
So, so back in, I want to say 2012.
Okay.
It was the only place that was willing to take me. I looked like a deer in headlights, Martina.
I don't believe that.
I graduated from Rutgers University, and wonderful meteorology program. Not a strong TV background, this particular program. It is more research based. I think, actually, yes, out of my entire graduating class, I was the only person who went on to do TV. Actually, one other person, oh no, she was a year younger. So yes, I was the only one in my graduating class. So the point is that I didn't have a strong TV background. And so outside of that internship I did, I was very green. And I needed some practice for sure. So I am so appreciative for KGWN, Cheyenne, Wyoming, for giving me my first on-air job. And the poor people of Cheyenne, Wyoming that were subjected to my forecast. I'm sure it's in the archives somewhere, and I really hope it got lost. But,
maybe not after this podcast.
Oh my goodness, please. But yes, it was a great place to learn. It was great for me to get out of the Northeast, the weather that I was really familiar with, get into the Rocky Mountains. We think our weather is crazy here. The Rockies are crazier. And so I got a lot of experience with different types of weather patterns, but also experience on TV. So that was my first job. Then, yes, I went to Charleston, Huntington, West Virginia. Wonderful place, wonderful people. Still love the people there. I mean, they're a part of my heart still. But for me, I wanted to be closer to family. Yeah. My family, mainly in the New York metro area, and being in New England and Southern New England in particular, I am able to easily see them. And I've always loved Boston. It's just part of me. I would travel here as a child for dance competitions.
Right.
And so it's just so wonderful to be here in Boston.
Yeah, and I think too, it's, going back to the heritage part, it's
Yes.
so Irish, and
Right.
it seems like, I'm sure, a perfect landing spot for you. So
Yes.
then the Boston market can be, it's a competitive. We have a lot of local stations. So, I mean, how did the job at Channel 5 come about?
You know what? I had an agent that I hired. And if it wasn't for that agent, I don't know if I would have been able to make that jump, because I was coming from a pretty small market in West Virginia.
Right.
But I'm so grateful for him, because he helped me, kind of get my foot in the door here. And I'm so grateful for WCVB taking a chance on me. And I love it here. Yes. And, you mentioned there's a lot of Irish here. And it's funny how when you have that sense of connection and community, how you can really thrive. And I do feel that my 9 years here, it's been 9 years, I've been able to really thrive in this area and grow so much. And I hope to continue to grow.
Yeah, we talk a lot about at Manoa about, women looking for connection and that community. So talk to us a little bit more about who's your community, who supports you.
By far, my biggest supporter is my mother, my grandmother, my sister. I have a lot of wonderful women in my family, and that is my biggest supporters by far. I really lean on them, and I think that's so critical. But outside of the women in my life, I really lean on my husband. I lean on some of my neighbors sometimes too. It's so important to have that sense of community. And I think, having women-led community outreach is also really important, because women have such a different perspective, right? And we can connect with each other. I think when we connect, we are able to be even more successful, and that's good for everybody.
It is, and and it takes a village. Like, you can't, you can't do it on your own. It's okay to say, I need help.
Right. Yeah. I'm still learning.
Right.
I think we all are, right?
Right. We all are. We all
yes,
are. We all
accept the help.
Yes. Accept the help, and that's okay to ask for help. So if we could talk a little bit maybe about young girls in STEM, and now how they're moving away from, we'll say, the traditional professions, like the nursing and the teaching. And you love math from a very young age. So
yes.
I guess, what can our schools do to support young girls?
I think a couple things. I think, first off, we really need to break the stereotypes.
Right.
That's so important. Something as simple as just looking at a picture of a woman in a typical woman field, right? Let's change it up. So break the stereotypes. I think we need to have strong mentorship programs too. I really try to visit a lot of schools as a broadcast meteorologist. I think that's really important to connect with young students, and in particular, young girls. And I think when schools have these kind of programs that kind of shed light on women in STEM field, I think girls can see that connection. I mean, I remember being a young girl and idolizing my Barbie, right? So let's maybe idolize something different, right? And maybe a woman in STEM. I mean, I think of Sunny Williams as one person. I mean, talk about a local female just powerhouse in the STEM field. So cool. That's who we should be idolizing, right? And I'm trying to think of what else we can do. I think another important thing is try to make it more appealing to women and to young girls. I think back on women going into fields like nursing or teaching, right? And I think a big reason we kind of gravitate toward fields like that is because we do love to help. And I think we also love to see how our help is impacting others. And you can see that firsthand when you're a nurse. You're helping a patient, you see them recover, right? And you're a teacher, you can help a student, you see them finishing their work. And it's just, you feel that sense of helping. And I think in the STEM field, you are helping, absolutely, but you might not see it. And I think, so we have to make sure that we're communicating with young girls that being in a STEM field, you are so helpful to society. You are making such an impact. You might not see it firsthand, but your impact is wide and felt, even globally sometimes with your ability to help science and math in our country.
Right. And I think, isn't Boston the perfect
Right.
city?
Really is.
Rich in innovation.
Yes. And I feel we've made a lot of
Oh,
strides.
we have made more work to be done.
Yes.
Yes.
But I like the direction we're
Yes.
going. I think we're moving in a good direction. Maybe we lost a little steam at times, but
Right.
I think, more women in STEM
Right.
so important.
Yeah. And I think there's always curveballs.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's about persevering.
Yes. Yeah.
And the Irish are great at that. And I think a lot of women are great at that too.
I think they are. Yeah. And
sometimes you could build even better.
Exactly. Now we're going to talk about your favorite topic, maybe weather.
Yes.
I mean, every time we turn on the TV now, there seems to be a weather story, and we saw recently the devastation with the floods in Texas, the terrible rain we had here in Massachusetts, shutting down 93 on both sides. So could you talk to us maybe a little bit about weather patterns, trends you're seeing, and kind of, how this impacts, your day-to-day work?
Wow. Yes.
That's probably a loaded question.
You're right. Yeah. And you've hit everything. This has been, I think, the summer of flooding. I read somewhere that the National Weather Service has issued more flash flood warnings this summer than any other summer since the early 80s. And I'll have to check that data. But the point is, this has certainly been the summer of flooding. We're noticing that in recent summers, we get into these more stagnant weather patterns where we get, somewhat stuck.
Right.
And that was certainly the case and has been the case so far this summer, where we have this really strong Bermuda high, which, sorry, this sounds a little obscure, but it's a system where it kind of forces the flow of air to move off of the Gulf and into through the midsection of the country, but more so into the east. And so with this kind of stagnant pattern and this flow off of the Gulf, it allows for us to feel the influence of that Gulf water. So one thing we're noticing is that the water temperatures in the Gulf are above normal, and they have been, and the trend has certainly been moving upward. I think that's no surprise to anybody, right? But with a warmer ocean, we see more evaporation, right? Think about it. If your pot of water on the stove is hotter, more of it is going to bubble up, and so more of it's going to evaporate. And in fact, if you leave that pot long enough, eventually it will empty itself out and evaporate completely. And for those of us that get distracted while cooking, we know this very well. So, so when we have a warmer than normal body of water, the Gulf, and more evaporation, that means more moisture just sitting in the atmosphere. Then you have this Bermuda high with this flow of air kind of forcing this really moist atmosphere, this really moist parcel of air into, well, it moved into Texas and moved through much of the states surrounding the Gulf, but also riding up the coast into New Jersey. There was tremendous flooding in New Jersey, New York, and eventually into our area too. And so this is it's all connected. Okay. We have a stagnant pattern. We have a really warm Gulf. And then also a warm atmosphere. A warm atmosphere is able to hold more moisture. I believe it's for every 1 degree increase in temperature. So say we go from 80 to 81, the atmosphere has the capacity to hold 4% more water, which doesn't sound huge. No. But that's the difference between maybe a couple downpours to more widespread downpours. We're seeing what was 100-year floods becoming more like 64-year floods. And I think that's going to be a big aspect too. Warmer atmosphere that can hold more water, warmer water that allows for more moisture to escape into the atmosphere. And then we had that stagnant pattern with the Bermuda high, allowing for that air to kind of push toward us. So those are the three big factors. Okay. I also think, unfortunately, when we talk about flooding, I think we focus a lot on the coastline. We think about coastal flooding, right? This is something that gets big headlines. When we have a tropical system or a hurricane, all eyes on the coast and potential for coastal flooding. I think there's so many headlines about it. There's so much awareness. You're not waiting for that alert on your phone for you to know there's a chance of flooding. You already know there's a possibility because there's a storm. But when we have inland flooding, like what they had in Texas.
Yes.
I think back to Vermont, where we had a potential for thunderstorms. There was a potential for pockets of flooding. But when people hear that, they're not going to be as perhaps weather aware as when there's a tropical system or a hurricane or something of that sort. So I think that plays into it too, that awareness factor, that preparedness factor. And unfortunately, with the way things are trending, I think we need to really be more prepared for that potential for inland flash flooding, especially in areas where the terrain allows for flooding to occur really quickly, very easily. Now, the Texas area, the hill country area, I believe is called, or I'm trying to think of the exact term they use. It's I can't think of it off the top of my head. I'm sorry, but it's Kerr County, I believe it was. That area, it has really hard bedrock, and then on top of it, really dry soil. So anytime you have any sort of rain, but especially heavy downpour rain that isn't moving, the water's not being absorbed. It's just feeding down the hilltops into these rivers, and then obviously that leads to flooding very quickly. And that's what we also saw in Vermont. And unfortunately, I think it's some of these inland spots where people might not be thinking, oh, I got to prepare for flooding because I'm nowhere near the coastline. You don't think about that. But these are the spots where you might be a little more vulnerable.
I mean, can you really prepare for flooding?
Well, the awareness factor of, there's thunderstorms, there's a chance of flash flooding. I'm going to make sure that my phone is near me. It is charged. I have the ability to get weather information. Perhaps I don't have cell phone service, but I have a NOAA weather radio. Having your be opting into emergency alerts on your phone. Some people opt out. This is something that you can do ahead of time, knowing that there is a chance of thunderstorms that could produce pockets of flash flooding. Then you get the alert on your phone, and then that's when you could really take the steps to perhaps evacuate in the most severe situations.
So I guess we can all do our part, right? Not just the meteorologist.
Yes, I mean this could be a long conversation.
I know. I know. Yes,
and
yes. I mean, yes.
Of course, that all plays into it. But I mean, we've already built the homes.
Yes. I mean,
so now we just kind of have to deal with the situation, right? And I think just getting those alerts and knowing the potential is really critical.
And then for us that are here in Massachusetts, what kind of trends do you think we'll be seeing?
Unfortunately, it's we've probably heard it. I feel like I've said it almost every week.
Right.
Chance of thunderstorms, chance of isolated pockets of flash flooding. That is so annoying, right? Because we're talking about a huge area, and anywhere in that area, you're telling me there might be a flash flood. Right. Where, right? We just want to know where and what time. But unfortunately, with this kind of pattern that we're in, where we have just such a moist atmosphere, it's kind of like you have this really hot pot of water, and we're trying to figure out where is the bubble going to pop first in this hot water that's on the stove, right? It's impossible.
Right.
We know it's going to bubble. We know it's going to pop somewhere, but where? And so that's kind of the pattern that we're in and we've been stuck in. And unfortunately, the trend is when you have a moister atmosphere with higher humidity levels, our dew points are the highest they've been this summer, going back to the 30s. Right. So if you think it's been humid, it's not your imagination. And so with that kind of a setup, we get into these patterns where, unfortunately, these afternoon, evening thunderstorms can easily produce an isolated flash flood. And you'll hear it when people talk about the aftermath of flooding, it's inland flooding. They'll say, in my town, it's doing this, but a town over, it's completely bare dry. And that's the exact pattern that we get with this kind of setup. So,
and I mean, it's global. I mean, really, look at, Europe has been abnormally warm.
Right. It's tough. There is a correlation and it's all connected. I think a lot of people don't realize that, where, more fossil fuels, more CO2, warmer atmosphere, warmer oceans. It's all connected.
It's all connected.
And so it's something to think about.
Well, for sure.
I mean, and it's impacting us, even if it's not directly impacting you, it impacts us indirectly, our insurance.
Right.
So Yeah, we're all going to,
We're all going to be,
feeling
we're
it.
all feeling, we're
Yeah.
all feeling it. Okay. So now I'm going to shift it back
Okay.
to Kellyanne a little bit and
Okay.
maybe talk to us like, what's a day in the life of
Oh,
Kelly?
oh, it's
Kellyanne,
crazy. My favorite is running into people at the grocery store, wherever, where I am in my mom mode.
Okay.
That's my
Okay.
favorite.
So talk to us about mom mode.
Yeah.
Yes.
So well, let's just say a typical day. A typical day, I am like really any other mom or woman. You wake up early, get the kids dressed. I have a very helpful husband. He usually cooks the breakfast, and thank goodness, because it was left to me. We just have a piece of toast and call it a day. But yeah, we rush out the door. I get them to school. This is my thing. I like to work out. That is how I relieve my stress. I feel it's so helpful for me. So even if it's just a quick half-hour workout, I'll take it. Anything I can get is very helpful. And then I usually go off to work. And that's if I'm doing a schedule during the week where I work 10 to 6 or 10:30, 6:30, whatever it might be. And then, yeah, each day is different at work. I think there's such unpredictability with it, which I love and sometimes can be frustrating, but it is exciting. There's such unpredictability. But, I typically do the noon show. I am involved in the evening shows, usually doing a sidebar about some sort of weather thing, weather story, whatever it might be. There's always something to talk about with the weather. And on my days off, I really enjoy, honestly, just getting that quality time with my kids. I feel like it really feeds my soul. It's so helpful, especially now in the summer where we could just hang out in the pool and I could really just soak them up because time is just so fleeting. And I feel like my youngest, especially, I feel like he took growth pills or something. I mean, seriously, what happened? He was a baby and now he's not a baby. So, yeah, just really trying to be just completely in the moment with my kids on my days off. And that really satisfies me. It brings me such happiness.
That's great. That's great. And do you talk to your boys about, a working mom, your career?
Yes, I mean, my youngest is certainly too young to understand, but my oldest, he's 4, and there have been times where he has noticed I'm not there, say one night. Maybe I'm filling in for the evening shift. Where's mommy? And so we do have that conversation. We explain, mommy is working, daddy works, mommy works, and mommy is doing the weather, and that is what she does. She went to school for this, and this is what is, while being a mom is a big important part of her life, being a meteorologist is also important. So yeah, we try to have that conversation at a basic level.
That will evolve over
right, and I think it will evolve over time.
Yes.
It's funny, honestly, I find children's books are so helpful too. They have so many books now that are about women leaders, but also just about parents who work. And I think I find that really helpful because I feel like the authors do a better job than I do sometimes.
Yeah, and I know a few meteorologists at the network level have wrote some books about the weather. So yes, children's books.
At this young age, they love visuals, they love color. So yeah, whatever you could do to get that message across.
And what do you say to young mothers that are trying to juggle it all? Because it's not easy.
Give yourself some grace. I think give yourself some grace, and then also just think about your priorities. And I think we, as women, we are great at juggling, but the problem I think we also have is that we try to give 100% to everything we're juggling, and it's impossible. So you kind of have to make your list of priorities and figure out, okay, this is what I'll give most of my percentages to, and then maybe a little bit less to some of this. Like, hey, we're gonna have grilled chicken again for dinner tonight. It's okay. Right? It's okay. Yeah. So when before kids, I would say, oh my goodness, never. But now, no big deal.
But I mean, who's holding you to that standard? Probably
right. It's yourself.
You're yourself,
it's
right?
Always yourself.
It's always right.
I know. It's so true. Yeah, we're hard on ourselves.
We are hard on ourselves. We are hard on ourselves. We are hard.
It's like a constant learning curve. But I think the thing too is even just women trying to get into STEM or whatever. I think just being true to yourself is really important too. I remember first getting into this field, and it's not like this so much now, but there was a big push to kind of be a little more masculine in a way.
Okay.
Women were encouraged to wear suits and deepen their voices. And so I think just embracing who you are,
Right.
and it's okay if you're feminine, and if embrace your womanhood if that is the case for you. So just be true to yourself. I think that's really important.
I do too, because we always say that at Manon, come as you are,
Right.
but, represent your whole
Because
self.
people will know if you're being
Right,
phony.
right.
We'll read right
Yeah,
through it.
right.
And
People
then they
can.
be my New Jersey, and I'm like, well, we don't
No.
like the phoniness, all right? Just be
Yeah.
real. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, no,
I
it
agree.
is, and people can. I think now there's so much noise around the world that people just want real conversation, and they want you to be real.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be real.
Yeah, exactly. Now tell me, what does your grandmother think of all this?
Oh, she watches the news religiously, and I love her. And I feel like when I said I wanted to get into the news, and I eventually got on TV, and with every move I made, she was just so proud of me, and it was so it was just really nice. I mean, she really truly supports me. I think, for her, she didn't have the easiest life, and she came from a farm in Ireland. She came to America very young, tried to establish a life for herself. She raised 4 children. She had 4 kids in 5 years.
Oh, wow.
That in itself can be a
Yes.
challenge.
Yes.
And then one might argue my grandfather was also a child. And so she had a full plate. And so she went through so much to provide a better life for her children. And then to see that transpire, and then her grandchildren doing well. I have cousins that are just so impressive. My one cousin's a doctor, another cousin is studying like astrophysics. I mean,
wow.
and but I think about all of this is because she decided to get on that boat and come here and try to create that better life for us. And so we owe so much to her. And I think for her, seeing that, and seeing our successes really brings her some joy. And it brings me joy to see her so happy and
Right.
proud.
And she really, she and women of that generation, they paved the way for us to have the lives that we have.
Right. They didn't have the opportunities.
No, not at all.
But they were able to have such an influence on their family behind the scenes. And they rule the roost. They rule the home and the family. And they're not loud about it.
No, they did it behind the scenes. And I think too, they didn't have, as you said, the opportunities, maybe education, but they made sure that, their children were.
Absolutely. My grandmother might not have a doctorate, but she is the wittiest person I know. And, even in her older age, she is sharp as a tack.
Right. But I think a lot of women too of that generation, they were avid readers, and it was just circumstance.
Right. You deal with your circumstance.
Yes, exactly.
You make the best of it.
You make the best of it. You make the best of it. Now, when we hear the name Cicalese,
yes. Not Irish.
Not Irish. So
right.
Right. I mean, I do watch Channel 5. I have to admit that, and so I would have never, Kellyanne Cicalese, and 'twas until I said earlier we saw I saw you doing the Irish steps, and then I got very curious.
Yes.
So talk to us about that side of the family.
It's funny, when I first got into the TV industry, I never even thought to change my name. I just went, this was my name, so I just stick with it, whatever. But I do realize now, maybe it would have been easier if I just chose a really easy name. I don't know, something that everyone could just read and pronounce really easily. But you know what? It's memorable, I guess.
Yes.
And so, yes, I am also Italian.
Okay.
And we also embrace that side of our heritage as well growing up. So that's my father's side.
Okay.
And while it's funny, my sister, if you were to, I think we both look somewhat Irish, but she has red hair and freckles. So she really, she just is so Irish. But yes, we're absolutely Italian. And it's funny, even just the other day on TV, there was a story, something about a Nona And I had heard the anchor say Nana. And I said, no, it's Nona. Nona. And it was funny that I was the resident Italian to correct everyone. So I think we all have influences from different cultures, whether it be through friendships or relationships, whatever it might be. I married someone who is of the Spanish heritage, and so I have embraced that culture as well. And so I think that also shapes you. It's every culture has their own traditions and their own values, and it is really interesting to kind of take that all in and make your own life for yourself.
Right. And I suppose you look at Boston, you look at, that's how, we do know about, so many different traditions, because we, have so many immigrants from all over.
That's the beauty of it. Isn't
it? It is the beauty.
Yes.
It is the beauty.
There's nothing better than going to a restaurant from a different culture. Oh, love it.
Well, I won't ask you, do you have a favorite restaurant, because we don't want you to get into trouble. We don't want you to get into trouble.
And plus it's kind of, it's kind of my secret.
Yes. Okay.
No, but we'll talk about it.
Okay, we'll talk. We'll talk about it.
But honestly, I live in the burbs.
Yes.
So I'm, especially now that I'm a mom, if we have a date night and an opportunity to go to dinner, we more than often are just staying in the burbs anyway. Because it's harder to get.
Right. And you travel,
But
in and out
I think in the North End, there's not one restaurant where you could go wrong.
No.
So
that is
just fall upon a restaurant. You'll be
exactly.
Fine.
Yes, you can't go wrong. So before we wrap up, Kellyanne, is there a fun fact that our listeners might be surprised to learn about you?
Okay. Me. I love Halloween. Really love Halloween and dressing up and anything superhero related. So maybe that might be interesting. Something with my job, a lot of people don't realize we do our own hair and makeup and clothes. So if you send an email or call saying she needs to fire her stylist, you are in fact telling me I should be fired because I am my own stylist.
Well, you do a great job. You're always so beautifully put together. Yeah.
In Boston, everyone, they're doing it all on their own. So at the national level, if you're watching GMA,
yes,
Good Morning America,
yes,
and at that level they have the help, but we're doing it ourselves.
And people, I don't think people realize that. They think you have all these stylists running after you on a Saturday morning.
No, I mean, I have to show you a snapshot of how crazy I am. I'm a big supporter of hair rollers.
Okay.
I'm very old school that way, but I swear by it because I'm able to throw them in and still able to work on my computer and get things done. So yeah, you kind of just make it work. And many of us are moms, so we are, masters of multitasking.
And probably from the dancing.
That's true. Yes, I was part of Irish dancing.
Yes,
before the wigs.
and
then eventually the wigs did get brought into it. And I don't even know now. I think it's gotten even crazier, probably. But yeah. So that's a fun fact. But yeah, Halloween. Really love Halloween.
I'm sure with the boys dressing up, that's
my
great.
Gosh. So I guess that would be a fun fact.
All right, well, Kellyanne, this has been absolutely fabulous.
It's been so fun.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights on your Irish heritage and, of course, the weather, a topic that everyone is very interested in these days.
I'll continue to try to keep on top of it, keeping everyone updated, and we'll all get through this together. It's been a summer of floods, but I'm hoping we maybe make a turn here.
Hopefully.
It's been a beautiful few days.
Yes, nice times.